book, but like she said, my personal experience. Hopefully, if anyone has experienced what I'm going to share with you, you feel comfortable enough to share with me as well, because that's my whole goal and the reason why I'm doing this today. So in conjunction to sharing my book with you, I also will give you the opportunity a little bit about my background, as Ms. Hazelwood said, and then we will leave some time for questions. I don't want you to feel shy. If there's something that you would like to share or something that you would like to ask me in the end, please do. The book I'm going to share with you today, as she said, is called I Fit In With the Skin I'm In. And hopefully everybody can. And in writing my book, the reason why I wrote my book was because I did face a lot of struggles with my identity and growing up when I was younger. And I wanted to make sure that I took the time to target some of those children today and young adults who are still struggling with not only just racial ethnicity, but just kind of just fitting in and how you fit in today, and some of the might have faced before and continue to face as life goes on with the society that we're in today. So I will start off with sharing with you that my book is geared towards elementary students, but for staff and adults and parents, it's a very good segue into helping your child not only get comfortable with their identity and who they are, but teenagers and young adults, just to kind of take a little minute to do some and maybe kind of ask yourself when you might have been faced with a moment or a time that you felt that you weren't accepted. And it doesn't have to be based on the color of your skin. It can just be with anything. So I'm going to go ahead and start sharing my book with you. Hope you'll enjoy it. The illustrations are fun, very colorful. I tried to do it that way so that kids would keep their attention. It would be an interest for teachers as well. And it's interactive, and I will share that with you at the end. So, like I said, the title is I Fit In With the Skin I'm In, and the girl's name is Ariana. One day, Ariana got out of bed, and she looked in the mirror and was puzzled and said, "My daddy is brown and my mommy is white, and oh my goodness, something is just not quite right." Ariana became sad and her smile became a frown, and most of the children were white and not brown. The next day, Ariana's teacher noticed that she was sad and asked the question, what could be so bad? "I simply don't fit in," Ariana said, "and it's all because of the color of my skin." Her teacher replied, "Ariana, you are both pretty and bright, and it's not because your skin color is black or white." Your parents both love you for who you are, and with all of your special talents, you're going to go far. "Thank you, Miss Franklin. You made my day. I need not worry about what those other children have to say." "That's right," she said. "Now you take a stand. No matter what color you are, you can have the whole world in your hands." Later that night, before Ariana went to bed, she looked in the mirror and this is what she said. "I like the shape of my nose, my chocolate brown eyes, and the color upon the hair on my head." "My daddy is brown and my mommy is white. It's because of them both my skin color is just right." I can be the president, can be a ballerina. I can be a news reporter. I can be a teacher. I can be anything I want to be. Even if the president, so can you. And this part here I will share with you is an interactive piece. So as we all know, most of the time books are not made for kids or anyone to draw in, but I wanted to make it a little different so that kids could often or actually have the opportunity, I want to say, to draw themselves being whoever it is that they wanted to be. So it would kind of be a goal for them or an inspiration for them to think and believe that anything that they want to do, they can do. And sometimes when you're actually when you're seeing it for yourself, it makes it easier for you to believe it. And that was my goal. So from a teacher standpoint, I wanted to give my students the opportunity to share with me and then be able to draw what it is that they wanted to be and know that one day that is something that they might be able to complete or live out as their goal. So I guess a thumbs up or any feedback, what do you think about the book?
Can you hear me, Melinda?
Thank you. Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, can you see the comments?
Yes. Oh, great. Thank you. Yes, it is definitely a simple message, and it's something that I focused on because now more than ever, you know, we're facing with a lot of racial setbacks, and just to kind of navigate through everything, I really wanted to make sure that the message got out that no matter what you look like and who you are, you have to continue to believe in yourself. And I know when I was younger, a lot of times, will tell me that, you know, I wanted to be a teacher, and that's what I became because I kept my goal and I told myself that's what I wanted to do, and I made it happen for myself. And so I kind of want to promote that and make sure that it's an inspiration along the way for not only kids but for young adults to make sure that you follow your dream because it's never too late. But the neat thing about this book I wanted to share with you is that this book is actually about. So although I didn't use my real name, I used Ariana. This book is basically everything that happened to me. So I will tell you that the reason why, like I said, that it inspired me to write it is because as a teacher, I had a lot of biracial children in my classroom, and I noticed in that when you get your curriculum, there's really not a lot of things that target children who are biracial. And I know with me when I was younger growing up, my mom took me to the library a lot so that she tried to get me educated because I love to read and I love to be read too. So she took me to the library a lot, and I would go on the shelves and try to find something. I would be looking through the like, oh my goodness, like there's no character in the book that looks like me. So it made me think that sometimes people, as well as children, don't stop and think about that. But when they do, I wanted them to be able to have something to relate to. So my story I will share with you now. If you don't have any questions about the book, does anyone have any more questions about the book? No? Okay, so a little bit about me growing up. So my father was African American and Puerto Rican, and my mom was German, and she was obviously white. And so growing up, you know, I struggled a little bit, not just with me fitting in, but I just struggled with my own identity with my mom. I didn't really have much contact with my father, so that kind of made it a little bit hard for me, difficult for me to be able to relate, to see. So there was a time that I actually said, Mom, I have a question for you. Like, am I adopted? And she was like, oh my goodness, like, why would you think that? But it didn't dawn on her that, you know, there was nobody else in my family that actually looked like me. I grew up in a predominantly white neighborhood, predominantly white school. And I'm sure Miss Hazelwood will share a picture with you so that you guys can actually see. It's an old one, it's black and white, so don't laugh. Oh, there it is.
Is this
So
what
I'm
you want?
sure you guys can see, and I make the joke, sometimes I say I was the chocolate chip amongst the marshmallows. But, my teacher really did a good job with embracing me and knowing that I was different. And she really tried not to make me the pinpoint or the main focus of the class because I was different. So that's the reason why the teacher in my book was very instrumental in making Ariana feel like she was very comfortable and giving her encouragement to know that even though she was different, that, she still has to understand that she's special in a kind of way. And my teacher made me feel that way. So I really give kudos to her for giving me that kind of encouragement early on. So that even though I was the only Black child in the room or biracial child in the room, that other kids didn't really know. So I say that innocently, children are, unless it's the prejudice behind it. But, I did have some friends because early on when you're in elementary school, kids really don't look at color like they do as we get older. And I'm sure you can agree with me on that. But it was definitely an experience for me that, my mom didn't realize affected me until later on in life. So from elementary school, I ended up going to high school. So Ms. Hazelwood will share some pictures with you. And so as you can see in the one picture that I was a cheerleader and I enjoyed it, but my struggle before I got to be a cheerleader was not so good. So when I got to high school, my freshman year, I ended up getting bullied. So every day, probably for about maybe a little over a month, there was a group of kids that taunted me and threw things at me and told me to go back to Africa and told me I wasn't accepted and me I was ugly and really kind of made me feel like I was worthless. And so if you see the girl that's sitting next to me in the cheerleading picture that's in the front, there are two girls in the front. The girl with the short cropped black haircut, she, along with the other cheerleaders one day after school, said, we're going to take a stand and pick on you. They're going to pick on us too. So that was a pretty strong part in my life that really made me think that there are people out there who generally do care about you and don't look at the color of your skin. And sometimes I say to myself that when you're in a situation or you're faced with somebody that's in that situation, don't be afraid to take a stand. Because from that day forward, it changed my life. So at that point, the bullying ceased. But I never went home and told my mom every day I was getting bullied. I just pretty much covered it up and say I fell or I was practicing and I hurt myself because I didn't want my mom to feel bad, that she really wasn't self-aware of what was going on. Back in those days, as educated as I would have liked her to be, and I don't think the cultural awareness was something she was thinking about. So as an adult now, my mom and I have shared and talked about that, but she didn't have any idea what an effect it had on me as a teenager dealing with this, because once again, I went to all-white high school. So there wasn't anybody there that was there. So if you look at the other picture, I put this one up here because I want you guys to take a look. If you look at the second picture, you see all the girls that are kind of leaning in together, and I'm kind of just standing alone sitting alone there by myself on the bench. That was kind of an eye-opener for me when I went through my yearbook that year, that even though they might have seemed like they were my friends at the time, that, thinking about including me was always a thought that, was firsthand. It was always something that later on, I just had to come to grips with and realize that, yeah, they were nice to me and stuff like that, but they still kind of segregated me in a way. But they didn't do it, I don't think, on purpose. I just think it was something that they were just not in tune with. But it definitely had an impact on me. So I tell you now to think about that as young adults, that when you're in a situation, no matter where you go, whether it's a club you're joining or a sport that you're, being a part of, that if there's somebody that's on the team or somebody that's in your group that seems like they're different from you, kind of embrace that and don't make them feel like an outcast. Kind of get to know them first without judging, okay? Because it can really affect somebody later on in life.
Melinda.
I guess.
Melinda.
Yes.
Was there another picture that you wanted me to share? Like you with your mom or you and your
Well, I'm going to stop here for a second before I move on because I should have backtracked and I forgot, so I apologize. That I will share with you guys a very crucial incident that happened when I was younger. So I was probably about 7 or 8 years old, and because I live in a predominantly white, prejudice was very much prominent during those times. So I'm going to say back in probably the early 70s, late 70s, my next door neighbor was very prejudiced and, really didn't share that with me or my mother. But what happened was I was outside playing with my ball one day, and my ball went over into my neighbor's yard. And, back then you just kind of used to be a little more cautious and learning to respect your neighbors and their properties. So I didn't want to go up and ask my neighbor to get the ball because I just thought it would be a big deal for me to go and get it, right? You're a kid, I'm just going to get my ball. I had no brothers and sisters, so I was pretty like I needed to just go do it myself. And when I got over to my neighbor's yard to get the ball, my neighbor, I guess, saw what I was doing and got a shotgun and came outside with a shotgun and pretty much told me that, of my yard where I belong. And at that point, I kind of got scared and I yelled for my mom, and my mom came outside, and my neighbor was standing there with a shotgun and basically said, if I ever set foot on his property again, that, I would have something to reckon with, and so would my mom. So that was something that as I'm an adult now that I still remember, and that happened how many years ago. So a lot of when you're younger, you in the moment don't think about how it's going to impact your life later on, but it was something that was such a strong impact, and it was very a scary situation for me as a child that it stuck with me for many years. And I think about what we're dealing with society today, and as adults there are some things that our children are seeing or being faced with, and people aren't thinking about that later on as they grow up they're going to be affected by that. So it's kind of like a cycle that's, ongoing, that if we don't stop it now and think about what we're doing and our actions and how it's going to affect our younger generation, it's going to be scary. So it's just something that we need to be more mindful of, I want to say, and navigate the best way you can, and kind of like do stop and think before you say, because it really can be a traumatic experience for someone. And that's something we don't want to do. Anything we want to create more ones. And that's the reason why I'm so actively involved with my community and with my own kids, because I don't want them to ever have to experience some of the things that I did. These pictures that are up there now, these are some of my friends that were in my neighborhood that actually kind of embraced me and were very did a lot of like nice things for me and kind of made me feel that I was kind of special along the way. So that's the reason why I shared these pictures, because I don't want you to think I had all bad experiences, but it definitely was difficult for me. I'm not going to lie. But as time went on, I just kind of had to embrace the fact that being different was not always a bad thing, that being different special. It's just the way you look at it and the way you use it. I'm sure some of you you may recognize this picture over here on the right where I'm sitting on the gentleman with the hat. That's a Kennywood. So I know Kennywood wasn't open this past summer, but I'm sure when you go there, you'll see that that man is still sitting there, and it's been in Kennywood for a very, very, very long time. So I guess that's a reflection of how old I am, but we won't share that right now. Okay, and so I'm very honored to be able to share with you this picture, because this is a picture of my mom and I that was taken recently. And my mom has not only been my backbone, my biggest supporter, but somebody who has really shaped me to who I am today as a woman. And I had to look back at what my mom had to deal with and the struggles that she had to deal with raising a biracial child. So she didn't always have it easy either. But, as I got older and as an adult, we were able to have some good conversations and things that I didn't share with her then that I was able to share with her now. But without her, I don't know where I would be. So she has turned me into the strong, passionate, dedicated woman that I choose to be today. So I wanted to make sure that I shared with you this picture, because it's very special to me. Okay, so last but not least, when I say I saved one of my most special pieces of my presentation, I would like to introduce you to my twin boys, who, as you can see, are fraternal because they are completely different, not only in looks but in size, but they are my pride and joy. They are in high school right now, so they are freshmen. And Aiden is the taller one that has the Alderdice Dragon shirt on, and Cameron is the one that has the Obama shirt on. And they are both definitely talented, and I'm very proud of them because they are very good boys. You know, the struggle is real for them right now because of not only COVID and dealing with the pandemic and being kind of isolated from seeing their friends, but they kind of got stripped of their freshman year. So they weren't too happy about that. And when I say they're so different, they are, as you can see, not when I say not only in height but in looks, but you know, Aiden, the taller one, is my swimmer and my basketball player, and Cameron is my overall athlete. So he is in track and soccer and wrestling and cross country and basketball, and he is my one that is willing to try anything. They are both musically talented. As you can see the picture in the middle, Aiden is outside. They go to the lighthouse. Cameron has been writing and producing music since he's been 9. And just recently, he got into the reimagination program for the city of Pittsburgh. So I'm very proud of him. He works on it daily. They're both black belts in karate, so I've tried to keep them well-rounded. Most of all, I'm trying to keep them to the point where they have to continue to understand that although society might be setting a different picture for us right now, that they still are black males and they are still going to be pinpointed to a degree and go through a struggle that may be something that I can't predominantly help them with because I am a woman. And although I am a black woman, you know, biracial by all means, I still cannot identify with some of the things that they might be faced with, although I try to navigate it with them the best I can. Cameron is working right now with Wiz Khalifa's producer, and he is, if you can actually go on Spotify and on YouTube and listen to some of his music. He's working on a CD right now, but it's under Cameron Suzensky, Cameron Suzensky, Suzensky, and listen to some of his stuff. It's really good. And then as you can see Aiden over here, I think he was like 10, but Aiden plays the piano and he's learning music, although he has an incredible ear. So most of the time he learns the piece, he doesn't need music. So outside of my boys being sports oriented, they're also very musically talented, and keeping good grades in school is their #1 focus, and they do that both. But you know, going to 2 different high schools, facing with 2 different situations, and embracing 2 different groups of friends has been interesting. So Aiden goes to Alderdice, and Cameron is in Obama. But I am very, very proud of them both. And, you know, in writing this book and sharing with them, I had to let them know that, you know, they are special too. So my next book, I will tell you, I am working on, and hopefully it'll be out by next year, but it's going to be about a boy and not a girl. So I'm trying to encompass it all, but it'll be based on a biracial background as well. So I don't want to leave too many of my secrets out, but hopefully you will enjoy that one as well.
Melinda, did you want to ask any questions connected to your book or anything to anyone that's in the chat? You can
yeah, so let me ask you guys this. I know most of you are on the college level, and like I said, I know my book's more geared towards elementary, but I just kind of want to know if any of you would like to share, or if you would tell me if you have felt at any time, whether it's now or, you know, in the past, that you felt that you weren't accepted for one reason or another, and how it made you feel, or how you took that situation and turned it around. Would anyone like to share? Come on, don't be shy. Okay, great. Janie, would you like to share? Did I say your name right?
Yes, hi, good afternoon. So I loved your book. I'm also Puerto Rican. My father is also Puerto Rican, from Piñuelas, and also he was dark skinned. My mother is from Spain, and she was white complected. So when I also came out very, very white, and I was in a situation back in Puerto Rico where majority of my family was African American, Tayanos, they call them Tayanos. So I would also
Okay.
get bullied a lot. When we moved to California, I also went to a private school, a Catholic school. So
Okay.
a lot of kids used to tell me, "You don't fit in here. You're Mexican. You are spick. You are a beaner." And I used to cry to my dad, and I'd be like, "Dad, what's a beaner? What's a spick?" So he used to tell me, "Don't pay
Right.
attention to them. They don't know what they're talking about. These are children that have learned from adults, being also in a biracial family." So
Right.
I wouldn't pay attention to them, but it used to get to me until when I also got into junior high, and until I used to get bullied. "Oh, you're four eyes." I have very, very long hair. They used to pull my hair, pick up my school lunch. "You're gonna eat that?" And then they would put their hands in my food. Well, not anymore. Until when I got to junior high, I finally stood up for myself. And I'm very petite, 5'1", maybe 70 pounds. And I was like, that's it, I'm done. I would not take anybody bullying me. But back in the 80s and early 90s, it was not considered bullying. Now it's bullying, but back then it
Right.
was just, oh, they're picking on her and that's it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And you know what? Kudos to you. And, I want to say that I am proud of you for taking a stand for yourself, because I know it couldn't have been easy. Because I know with myself, I think what happens is you get to a breaking point. And I think that people don't understand that, a lot of times when you have a personality where you're very outgoing and very outspoken, it's a little easier for you to kind of nip that in the beginning. But when you don't, you kind of suppress it until it gets to the point where you explode, because you realize that you are worth something, and that people calling you names and making you feel less worth of yourself is not right.
Correct. When I took it all the way to junior high until one day I exploded at my lunchroom and I said, "You will never hit me. You will never touch my food again." I did get beat up, but I knew that at least I defended myself. I stood up for myself. And since that
Right.
day, I stopped being scared.
Good. Good. Well, guess
And
what? I am thank you so much for sharing that with us. I know it isn't easy, and a lot of times it stirs up old feelings and emotions. So I thank you for that, because it is something that I think more people will share, and that is my goal, to kind of reach more people through my book, to let them know that if it's something that you're going through or you have gone through, that you need to talk to somebody, or to let somebody know that you're not going to keep putting up with it, because just because you look different doesn't mean you have to feel different or be different.
exactly. And
So
now, as an adult, I'm 44 years old, and as an adult now, I have two grandchildren that I have custody of. And believe it or not, they're white girls. They're so white, blue eyes, and they don't know Spanish. And I'm like, oh my gosh, people look at me at the store and they're like, oh, is that her kids?
I know, and that's another thing too, you think about, but in today's world, there are a lot of people that have blended families, and a lot of people who are adopting, and the kids do not look like them. But that's one of the reasons why I wrote the book, because there wasn't really anything for you to gravitate to and go to the library and take the book off the shelf and read it to somebody in your family that might be dealing with this, to make them feel a little bit more comfortable. So, but I'm sure you're doing a great job. Keep doing what you're doing,
Thank
because
you.
I say that the most important thing about this all is to give those kids love, because it doesn't matter what you look like, but to know that they have somebody that loves them and embraces them can make a world of difference.
Oh yeah, my granddaughters love that they come from an Hispanic family. I'm actually teaching them how to speak Spanish, and they're so funny when they speak it. But hey, we're trying. And
That's right. Hey, listen.
they tell everybody,
Yes.
"I'm Puerto Rican," because they know
Well,
Puerto
I
Rico is
know.
off the island now.
Yeah, that's one of the things that I do know a little bit, and I tried to teach my boys a little bit of it in the beginning, and they don't like speaking it as much as they like hearing it and knowing that when I say something they understand it. But that's great. That's great that you're using that as a tool for them, so that they'll have that for the rest of their life. That's a great thing.
Yes, yes, it is.
Well, listen, best of luck to you.
Thank
And, feel free to reach out to me anytime if you just want to talk, or, let me know if my book can help you in any way, or if there's anything I can do furthermore, that I'm here.
Yes, I'm gonna look
Okay.
into your book because my one of the girls, one of my granddaughters, she's autistic and she loves to read.
Oh,
She
nice.
loves. I'll bring her to the college and she'll be in the library just in her little corner.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Yes.
Well, thank you so
Thank
much
you
for
so much.
sharing that.
Thank you. You have a good afternoon.
No, you're welcome. You too.
Thanks.
Anyone else would like to share anything? Okay.
I'm not seeing anything else in the chat, so.
Okay, I guess we're good to go then.
Would you like me to share where to find your book for those who are interested in purchasing
Yeah,
one?
sure.
Let me do that now.
Yeah, sure.
So Terry Gallagher has a few copies in our CCBC library. You can see that on the shelf. She actually has it displayed right now in our library. And I don't know if you want to share, Melinda, there's a bookstore close to us that has it.
Yeah, so as of right now, for the convenience of getting the book, you can just go to Amazon.com and type in "I fit in with the skin I'm in," and my book should automatically pop up. Or you could type in my name, and then the book title will pop up. You can purchase it on Amazon. And then there is a local bookstore in North Hills, if you're familiar with the area. It's called Riverstone Bookstore. It's in McCandless Crossing, and she has copies there, so you can purchase it there as well. And if anyone has class with Miss Hazelwood and you purchase the book and you would like me to have it personally signed, I would love to do that. So if you get the book and you bring it to her, I'm sure Miss Hazelwood and I could connect at one point and get the book and give it back to you signed. I'd be more glad to do that.
That would be wonderful. Thank you.
Listen, no, you're welcome. If anyone does not have any other questions or needs to ask me anything at this time, I just want to say thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to present my book, and thank you for listening to my story. I really appreciate it, and I hope that somewhere, someday, I can help you make some changes in a positive way.
Melinda.
Yes.
Terry Gallagher wants you to know that you're awesome.
Thank you, Terry.
and any of the students that are on here, she loves you as well. So she couldn't put that in this chat, but she wanted you to know. You are getting some messages if you see them on the screen.
Yes, thank you. Thank you. You guys are wonderful. I hope you continue to stay safe through this pandemic. And I really, really hope that I inspired you in one way or another, that you will go ahead and make a difference for somebody else.
Thank you so much for joining us, Melinda. We hope to have you in person.
Anytime. I look forward to maybe seeing you all personally one day soon. Thank you, Brianna. Thank you, Riley, Leah, Janie. Thank you so much. Alini. Thank you, Stacy. Gianni, thank you.